What happens when faith, fame, and conviction collide under the brightest lights in television? That answer revealed itself one unforgettable morning, right in front of a live audience, when Chris Pratt walked out of the View after a clash that stunned everyone watching. It was raw, unexpected, and to this day it's still replayed across the internet like a scene no one can quite look away from. The day had started like any other. The crowd buzzing, the studio lights glowing, the familiar music rolling in as the hosts took their seats. Chris was there to talk about his new film, a story rooted in redemption, belief, and the fight to find light in the dark. But before the cameras even cooled, that very theme, faith, would turn the air heavy and the conversation would spiral into something far more personal. He walked on set with that trademark grin, calm, warm, easygoing. The audience roared. Whoopi greeted him with her usual grace. Sarah complimented his performance, calling it deeply human. Chris smiled, nodding. "It's about second chances," he said. "About how faith isn't something you just say. It's something you live." And that's when Joy Behar leaned forward, her tone polite, her eyes sharp. "So, Chris," she began, "you've been pretty vocal about your faith lately. You know this town isn't exactly known for that. Doesn't it ever worry you that it might turn people off?" A soft ripple went through the crowd. Chris didn't flinch. "I don't really think about it that way," he replied evenly. "It's not about pushing anyone. It's just about being honest about who I am. My faith keeps me grounded." Joy tilted her head. "Sure, but when you say things like, 'God has a plan,' don't you think that can sound privileged? I mean, what about people who don't believe? Are they just unlucky?" The room went still. Chris's smile faded, but his eyes stayed calm. "Faith isn't about luck," he said. "It's not about winning or losing. It's about grace, about learning to let go." Joy gave a tight smile. "Grace is lovely, Chris. But this isn't Sunday service, it's The View. People tune in for real talk." The audience laughed, uneasy, unsure. Chris looked her dead in the eye. "For me," he said quietly, "faith is real talk." And just like that, the tone shifted. The movie star charm gave way to something steady, grounded, almost defiant. Whoopi, sensing the tension, tried to move the conversation back to the movie, but Joy wasn't done. "I just don't get it," she said, her voice rising. "Every time a celebrity talks about religion, it feels like preaching. Like Hollywood's found its newest pulpit." Chris drew in a breath. "I'm not preaching," he said. "I'm just being real. And real sometimes makes people uncomfortable." Joy leaned in again. "Truth is subjective, Chris." "Maybe," he said softly. "But respect isn't." Applause broke out, quiet at first, then growing, filling the studio. Joy smirked. "All right, Pastor Pratt, take it easy." Whoopi stepped in. Okay, let's all breathe. This isn't Sunday morning, but it was too late. The spark had already caught. When the cameras rolled again after the break, the smiles looked tighter, the laughter thinner. Whoopi did her best to pull things back together. "We're back with Chris Pratt, talking about his new film Crossroads of Faith," she said, voice cheerful but cautious. Chris kept his composure. "We just wanted to make something that reminds people that hope's still out there," he said, "even when life feels impossible." The crowd clapped warmly, but when Joy rolled her eyes, just barely, the energy shifted again. "So, Chris," she said, smiling thinly, "do you ever think about the people who don't believe? Or is this part of some evangelical mission?" Silence. Chris's jaw tightened. "No, Joy. It's not a mission. It's a story. My story." "But isn't it exclusionary?" she pressed. "When you say God has a plan, aren't you implying people without faith are lost?" Chris's patience cracked. "I never said that." "You're twisting my words." "I'm asking what people are thinking," Joy shot back. "Where was God's plan when bad things happened? During the pandemic? During tragedy?" The crowd hushed. Even Whoopi looked uneasy. "Joy," she warned softly. Chris leaned forward, his voice low, firm. "You're right. Faith doesn't erase pain, but it gives people a way through it. You can choose bitterness, or you can choose hope. Applause erupted again, this time thunderous, defiant. Joy smirked. That's sweet. Choose hope. Sounds like a bumper sticker. Chris smiled faintly. Maybe it should be. The world could use a few more reminders. Whoopi intervened again. All right, let's not do this. But Joy wasn't done. Religion has divided people for centuries, she said. So when actors start preaching about faith, it feels out of touch. People need connection, not conversion. Chris nodded slowly. That's the difference, Joy. I'm not trying to convert anyone. I'm trying to connect, but honesty can feel uncomfortable when you've forgotten what it sounds like. That did it. The room broke into applause again, louder this time, almost protective. Joy forced a tight grin. Maybe Hollywood's just not ready for your sermon, she said. Chris unclipped his mic, set it down gently and stood. Maybe, he said quietly. Or maybe it's just not ready for honesty. And then he walked off. The next morning, the view opened to a silent set. Whoopi sighed. So, everyone saw what happened yesterday, she said carefully. Sometimes we have discussions. Sometimes we push too far. Joy folded her hands. I like Chris, she said. Didn't mean to offend anyone. It was a debate, not an attack. Sarah spoke softly. Maybe when someone shares something sacred, that's when we step back a little. Joy shrugged. It's the view. People know what they're signing up for. Whoopi gave her a long look, no words. Just silence. Meanwhile, across Los Angeles, Chris Pratt sat on his porch, phone lighting up with notifications he didn't care to read. He watched his kids play in the yard, took a quiet breath, and finally posted a single message. Sometimes peace means walking away. Within hours, it had millions of likes. News outlets called it graceful, strong, a lesson in composure. But Chris never responded, never defended, never explained. Because sometimes strength isn't in the words you say, it's in the moment you choose to stop saying them. And that's the image the world remembered. Chris Pratt under the glare of studio lights, calm eyes, steady hands, unclipping his mic and walking away. Not in anger, not in defeat, but in peace.